Hi, I'm Murray Carter. Welcome to another Carter Cutlery video. Last time I showed you how we grind, polish, and sharpen one of these Japanese style kitchen knives. And so I'm going to pick up where we left off after that. And now today I'm going to show you how we grind, polish, and sharpen one of these outdoor knives. What I'm going to grind today is basically this is a heat treated blade. It's of the white crane style of knife that we offer. It's a little bit bigger than the neck knives that we offer. This is designed to be a purpose-built self-defense knife. It's usually going to be worn in an inside the waistband holster, either on your right or left hand side, accessible by either left or right hand. So we're going to go to our large rotating Waterstone grinder and start grinding the secondary edges in there. Before that, of course, just as with the kitchen knife, we have to check to make sure it is straight and untwisted, and we're going to have to adjust it as necessary right here with our brass hammer on our wooden stump. Now we use a brass hammer and the wooden stump so that we don't shock the steel that's on the inside of that blade unnecessarily. That you would shock it if you're using a steel hammer on a steel anvil. So this is a little softer. Okay, now knowing that I'm going to be coming back to my straightening station at least 2 or 3 more times before we complete the knife, I'm only looking for about 98–99% straight at this point. Okay, let's move to the large rotating Japanese Waterstone. So I've just rough ground this white crane blade with my old Waterstone here. The stone's been around for quite a long time. We've had it, and it's kind of getting old and rickety and will soon need to be replaced. They come all the way from Japan, so when I travel to Japan in the next coming months, I'll be getting a new one. But we still use it to the best of our ability, and we have ground this secondary edge on both sides. We've also ground the spine. That helps me get the exact profile that I want. I can adjust it as necessary, but it also helps me go back and double check to make sure that I've got a straight blade. What I don't have yet is a primary edge. I've ground it very thin on both sides, but there's still a flat plateau here on the primary edge. There's no cutting edge on there yet, or the primary edge as we call it. But what we'll do now is we'll transition to our finer stone and get these grind lines a little bit more cleaner and get the final profiles that we want, the final edge thickness that we want before we transition to the 2x72-inch belt sander, which is how we'll polish it all up. So we'll use this next stone here. Now with this second finer stone, I've cleaned up the plunge lines, the plunge cuts on both sides, on the left side and the right side, and I've got them nice and evenly balanced, and I've got a nice grind line that more or less looks symmetrical on both sides. Now because this is a 3-layer laminate, as I'm grinding, I'm trying to see how much steel core I'm revealing on both sides because I want it to look symmetrical. So once your eyes become accustomed to grinding on these stones, you can do it fairly easily. But for beginners and for your viewing sake, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of ferric chloride, which is an acid, and I'm going to acid etch just this edge here very carefully so that you can see the steel being revealed on both sides. Okay, so I have a bottle here of Archer's etchant. You can get it at Radio Shack. It's just a very mild acid. Be very careful on how you use it. But watch this now. There. The black is the steel core. I'm going to do the same on the other side here. I have to be careful with this acid. I don't want it to get up on the darkened finish on the top of the blade because it'll stain it. But the black is the steel, and what's above it is the stainless steel. And as you can see, for the most part, I have an even balance on both sides. Before we quench these blades, we coat them in a very, very thin layer of clay, which enhances the hardening step. And we want to get some of that clay off, but we don't want to fully remove the nice brown patina we have on the blade. So we just lightly, with a bit of water and this wire brush, we'll just lightly clean it. All we're looking to do is to get off any extra clay that still remains on the blade. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to go to my straightening station and straighten it one last time before we go and start polishing it on the 2x72-inch belt sanders. Okay, now we're at our 2x72-inch belt sander, and we're going to polish up and try to perfect these grind lines and the plunge cuts and the symmetry of the blade, and we'll even maybe chamfer the back of the spine a little bit to give the blade a little sleeker profile and to lower the friction or drag coefficient when it's used for piercing. Okay, remaining is to buff that secondary edge of the blade, and then we'll hand sharpen the primary edge with stones and get it scary sharp. So thanks for following me through that whole procedure. We ground in a new secondary edge using the rough rotating water stone. Then we refined that a little bit with the second stone that I had. And then we did our final polish with the 2x72-inch belt grinder. Now, how fine of a finish you want is only limited by what belt you have and what belt you want to use. We stopped at a rather rough belt just for demonstration purposes, but typically we'd go from about a 150 grip belt up to a 400 grip belt and then buff. And then we put a scary sharp edge on the knife by hand. Now comes the most exciting and fun part about being a bladesmith, getting to test the edge. For that, we've got an armful of hair here that I've been saving up for years just for you viewers. Check this out. And that's how we grind, polish, and sharpen one of our outdoor knives. This is Murray Carter with Carter Cutlery saying, stay sharp.